Hello, today we're going to be making this little pig, and we've got little wings on the back of him, the little tail, snout, a little bit of blush, and I'm going to show you all the materials that we're going to need to make him today. So let's take a look at what we need. The yarn that we're using is a soft pink, and we've got white. Mine's more of an off-white. And then we also have a little bit of darker pink for the details on the snout and if you want to add blush. The other items that I'm using is a 3.25 millimeter crochet hook, pair of scissors, safety eyes, you can kind of go with whatever size you would like, a stitch marker, a yarn needle, polyfill. And that's everything that I'm using to make this project. To start off, we're going to make both the head and the body, and it's all in one piece. So there's no sewing the head on to the body. We're just going to start from the top and work all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to start off with the magic ring, and I'll slowly go through how I do mine. So I just take the yarn over my index and middle finger, bring it around, and then cross it over, and then just bring it so I have two parallel lines on the top. I bring my hook under the first, kind of turn, scoop under both yarn strings, come up to the top, grab the second hook, and just pull it through. And that's how I get my magic ring. There's many different ways of doing it, and so that's just a quick demonstration of mine. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put 6 single crochet into our magic ring. So there's 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we can just take our tail and pull it. We don't want to pull it too tight because it makes that first stitch hard to get into as we're going through the next round. But after we get through placing our stitches in the next round into this one, we can pull it tighter to close that little hole up. So our second round is an increase round, and we're going to do 2 single crochet in each stitch. So in our first stitch, we'll place 1, 2, in our next stitch, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now that we've got our stitches in, let's go ahead and pull our tail tighter just to get that spot closed up, and then we'll be increasing from 12 stitches up to 18 in the next round. Okay, we're ready for round 3, and we're going to increase up to 18 stitches from 12. And I did put my stitch marker in just to help keep track. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a pattern which is increase in our first stitch, and then single crochet in the next. And that's the pattern we're going to do all the way around, and that'll give us 18 stitches at the end. So we're going to increase and then single crochet. We've got our increase and single crochet, increase, single crochet, and we're coming towards the end. Increase, single crochet, our final increase, and then our last single crochet. And so at the end we'll have 18 stitches, and then in our next round we'll be going from 18 to 24. We're on round 4 and we're going to increase from 18 to 24 stitches. And then we'll just be working in a pattern again. And that'll be to increase in our first stitch, and then single crochet 1 in the next 2 stitches. So we're increasing, and then follow that up by 1 single crochet and the second single crochet. And that's the pattern we're going to be working all the way around. So we've got our increase, 1 and 1, increase, there's 1, 1, and increase, 1, 1, and then we've got our final increase, 1, and we'll end on our last 1. Okay, we're up to 24 stitches, and that was our 4th round. So we're going to get ready for our 5th round, where we'll increase from 24 to 30 stitches. We are now on round 5, and we're going to increase from 24 stitches to 30, and it's another easy pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you started on the pattern and then meet up with you at the end of the round. So let me show you the pattern for round 5. We're going to increase in our first stitch, and then single crochet 1 in the next 3 stitches. And I'll do that one more time. So we'll do an increase, and then a single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. And we'll do that all the way around. And once we've got the round complete, I'll meet back up with you, and then we'll continue on to round 6. We are on round 6, and we're going to increase from 30 stitches to 36 stitches. And our pattern for this increase is to increase in our first stitch, and then to single crochet 1 in the next 4 stitches. There's 2, 3, 4, and I'll show you that one more time. So we're going to do an increase, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll follow that pattern all the way around, and we'll go from 30 stitches to 36 stitches, and I'll meet you back up at the end. We are ready to start on rounds 7 through 12, and these are nice because we're just going to crochet 1 single stitch into each stitch. So we're just going to crochet around, just 1 single crochet in each stitch for all 36 stitches, and we're going to do that for a total of 6 rounds. So if you've got anything you'd like to listen to, any music or any videos, this would be a great time to do it. And so just keep single crocheting 1 in each stitch for 6 rounds, and I'll meet back up with you after we've completed that 12th round. Now that we've completed all 12 rounds, our next step is if we're going to use safety eyes to place those now. And I placed on my original little pig, I placed the eyes between rows 8 and 9. And I had about 6 or 7 stitches apart in order to fit the nose in between them. So I'm going to count down, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there's 9. So I'll take my first one and place the safety eye in. I'm not going to put the back on just yet because I want to kind of get an idea of how the eyes look before I get those backs on, because they are hard to get off. And so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I think in the 7th I'm going to see how it looks. And that looks about a good spot for him, and to have the nose in the middle. And so I'm just going to go ahead and get the backs on. And then now that we have our safety eyes on, we're going to go ahead and get ready to go on to round 13, and that'll be a decrease round from 36 stitches down to 30. We're ready to start round 13, which is our decrease round from 36 stitches down to 30. And I do mine with an invisible decrease, but you can decrease whichever way works best for you. And I'll show you my invisible decrease. So on the first stitch, I go through the front loop only, and on the second stitch, I go through the front loop only. I pull the yarn through those 2 loops, and then pull through again. And that's how I do an invisible decrease. And then what we'll do is we'll single crochet 1 in each of the next 4 stitches. There's the 4th. So what we'll do is we'll do that again. We'll do the decrease, and then single crochet 1 in the next 4 stitches. And that's the pattern we'll work all the way around until we get to the end, and then we'll have 30 stitches. So I'll meet you back at the end. We're ready for round 14, and we're going to decrease again from 30 stitches down to 24. And the pattern for our round 14 will be to do a decrease, and then single crochet 1 in each of the next 3 stitches. And so I'll show that again. So we'll do our decrease, and then a single crochet in the next 3 stitches. And that's our pattern to go all the way around, and once we get done, we'll be at 24 stitches down from 30. We're getting ready to start on row 15, and what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of stuffing. We'll have plenty of time as we go to keep adding stuffing, but this just gives the head just a little bit more to hold on to. That way, while you're working on it, it's not so bad about collapsing in on itself. And so we're just going to get a little bit just to get started. There we go. And now we're going to do another decrease round, and this will be decreasing from 24 stitches down to 18. And our pattern for this is going to be our decrease, and then a single crochet in the next stitch and a single crochet in the next stitch. So I'll show that one more time. So I'll do my invisible decrease, and then a single crochet and a single crochet, and that'll get us from 24 stitches down to 18, and I'll meet you back at the end. So we are doing great, and we're getting ready to transition from the head down to the body of the little pig. And so here's how we're going to do row 16. It'll be an increase round, but it'll be done in the front loops only. And so how we're going to do this is we're going to increase from 18 stitches to 27. And our pattern for this, in just this front loop only, will be to do an increase and then a single crochet. And all of this is done in just this front loop. And so the pattern again is an increase followed by a single crochet. And one more time. An increase and a single crochet. So I'll have you complete that pattern to the very end, and that'll give us 27 stitches increased up from 18. We are going to be working on round 17 through 21, and we're going to do that just by single crocheting one in each of the stitches. And now we are going back through the complete stitch, not just the front loops. So this is just your regular single crochet all the way around for those 27 stitches, and we're going to do that for rounds 17 through 21, and that's a total of 5 rounds. So let's just keep going, and we'll just do our single crochet, and then I will meet back up with you after we have finished the 21st round. Okay, so just keep going, turn on some music, any video you want to watch, and we'll meet back up after you completed round 21. We've completed row 21, and what I want to do now is just start adding some more stuffing. And again, we'll still have time before the body is completed to add more, but this is another good time just to start filling things up and just making it easier to hold on to. And so we'll just get a bunch to really get the head at this point stuffed. And the head's easier to stuff right now while the entrance is bigger, because as it gets smaller it's just a little harder to push the stuffing everywhere up into the head. So get it stuffed as much as you'd like right now, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start decreasing, and then with the body we can keep stuffing as we go, and that way it'll be all pretty much filled by the time we get ready to close everything off. And before we do sew it closed, we'll add just a little bit more if needed. We're on row 22, and this is a decrease round, and we're going to decrease from 27 stitches down to 18. And in order to do our decrease round, our pattern is to decrease and then single crochet. We'll do a decrease and then a single crochet, and that's the pattern we're going to use all the way around to get down from 27 stitches to 18. And so I'll have you complete the rest of the round by doing a decrease and then a single crochet, and then I'll meet back up with you for round 23. We're on round 23, and we're going to decrease from 18 stitches down to 12, and it'll be the same pattern. We're going to do a decrease and then a single crochet, decrease and a single crochet, and I'll have you finish up the round, and then we'll meet back for our final decrease from 12 to 6. So we're down to 12 stitches, and we finished up row 23. Let's do a little more stuffing while we still have a good enough gap to really get everything in there. And this is where you can really start to stuff it to where you think you're going to want it. And we will have a chance to add some more stuffing in before we completely close everything up. But it is a small opening to get that into. So if we can do the majority of it now and just get a really good set on our body shape, and then whatever little bit more we need, we'll be able to add it in. But let's go ahead and get it stuffed to however you'd like, and then we'll go ahead and do our final decrease for the body. We're on our final round, round 24, and we're going to decrease down to 6 stitches from 12. What we're going to do is we're going to start off doing 3 decreases in a row. So there's 1, 2, 3, and this is where we can check to see, do we want any more stuffing? And I probably am going to just put a little bit more in, and I'll just take the end of my crochet hook and put a little bit more in at this moment. Come on. Okay. And that seems really good for me. So I'm just going to do my last 3 decreases. So there's 1, 2, take out my stitch marker, 3, and then I am just gonna do a slip stitch in the next stitch to fasten off, and then I'm gonna leave a tail for sewing. And there is a little gap left if you think you might want to put any more in. I'm going to leave mine as it is, but this will give you one last chance. And then our final step is to take our yarn needle. And the way I sew the bottom of mine closed is I come in through the back on the top or the front loop of the first stitch, into the front loop of the second from the front side, and the third stitch from the back on the front loop only, and then the 4th stitch from the front, 5th stitch from the back, and this is all front loop, into the 6th stitch, and then just pull closed. Just a nice firm pull to get everything closed up, and then I just come in with my tail through a couple of areas throughout the body just to really secure everything in place, and then just cut off your tail, and that is everything for the main head and body. And we'll start working on all of the little smaller parts. We'll work on the arms, legs, ears, tail, and wings. But wonderful job getting this far, and we'll just keep going and get our little pig completed. We are now ready to work on the arms, and they are pretty small, but I'll walk you through it. So we're going to start off with our magic ring. And we're going to crochet 4 single crochets into our magic ring. We'll pull our little tail tight, but again, not too tight yet, so we can get into that first stitch where we're going to do an increase. And we're going to increase from 4 single crochet to 8. Let me get into that first one. There we go. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and now you can pull it a little tighter if you need to close up that gap. And now we're just going to, on our final 3rd row, just crochet 1 in each stitch. So we got 1, oops, let me redo that one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then what we'll do is we'll just slip stitch into the next stitch, and that way we can fasten off and leave a tail for sewing. And because this is so small, if you have a decent sized tail, you can pretty much just kind of squish it up and put it right inside, and that's all you'd really even need for any stuffing, but you can always add a little bit of polyfill. But that's everything for the arm, and we just need to make one more of these, and then we'll be ready to place those onto the body. I've got my second arm made, and I'm going to show you how I place this onto the body. And I place mine right up against where the separation between the head and the body go. And I'll do the first one with you so you can kind of just get an idea of how I place mine. And so I just come right up along that edge and just kind of come in to the next stitch and just kind of decide, you know, how far forward or back I would like. And this is all just personal preference. And then I just come in through the front loop on the arm, and then go down the front loop of the next stitch, and then just go in through the body. So I'll just kind of go in, come through, and that pulls that down. And then I'll just do the same thing, just come up, go down, and then just go in through the body. And that's all it takes for me to sew on the parts. So it's not hard, it's just sometimes just one of the little more frustrating parts of amigurumi. So that's one of the reasons, like I did the head and the body together. Anytime I can avoid sewing, the better. It's just not my best part. But this is about as easy as I can get it and have it turn out looking okay and being sturdy and staying on the body. So that's how you're going to do the other arm. And once we make the legs, once again, you'll just position them wherever you would like, and then just sew them on using the same style of stitches. So then once I get it on there, I just go ahead and again just put the yarn through the body a few times, pull off the yarn needle, and just snip close to the body. And if you ever see the tail sticking out, you can just kind of squish the body and it'll usually pop right back up inside and keep everything hidden. So let's go ahead and get the other arm on, and after you get the second arm on, we'll meet back and we'll get the feet started. Okay, so I've got my arms placed on the one we're working on. I noticed I put them a little further back than I did on the original, but again, you know, give them different looks, change it up a little bit, that works too. And let's go ahead and start on the feet. And they are not hard at all either. So we are going to start off with our magic ring. And for this one, we are going to single crochet 5 into our magic ring, because we're going to make the feet just a little bit bigger than the arms. So there's 3, 4, 5, and we're going to increase in each of the 5 stitches so that we go from 5 single crochet to 10. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then we could pull the tail to close up the gap, and then we're just going to single crochet 1 in each of the 10. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then again, we'll just slip stitch into the next stitch and leave a tail for sewing. And again, if you have enough of a tail, you can just use that for the stuffing, or with this being just a little bit bigger, if you need a little tiny bit, you can put it, oops, sorry camera, didn't mean to do that. You can put a little bit of polyfill in there too, which I may end up doing. Where I've got the feet placed, it kind of comes down right to the bottom of the body, and then up on this one it would have met right up onto the hand, but I'll go ahead and get my first one placed and show you how I put that on. So I've got the first foot placed, and where it's coming up with the arms there, it's just about there's just like a line between the stitches where this one ends and this one starts. And how I'm sewing it on is kind of, I'm going over the curve between the bottom and the front where this little tummy is, and that's where I'm sewing mine. So it does kind of curve around the body with the way that I'm sewing this on. But I just want to give you an idea, you know, how far up and close to the arms this is. So it is pretty close. There's just a real small gap between the two. And then wherever you want to place yours to give it whatever look you're going for, that's perfect. There's no wrong way to assemble these. However you like it is definitely the way to put it together. And so I'm going to finish sewing this up, and then the next thing we're going to work on are the ears. We are now ready to work on the ears, and the ears are not hard at all, and then these also don't need any stuffing. And so we're going to need to make 2 of them, but I'll work through the first one with you. And so let's grab our pink yarn, and we're going to start off with our magic ring. Okay, so we've got our magic ring, and we're going to crochet single crochet 4 into our magic ring. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to increase in our next round from 4 to 6. And to do that, we're going to go into our first stitch. All right, let's see if I can get in there. There we go. And we're going to increase. So our first stitch is an increase. Our second stitch is a single crochet. Our third stitch is an increase. And then our fourth stitch is a single crochet. And so we've got a total of 6 single crochet, and next we're going to increase to 9. So for our third stitch on the ear, we're going to increase from 6 single crochet to 9. And to do that, our pattern is the same. We're just going to increase in the first stitch, and then single crochet in the second. Oops, let's get that in there. And again, we'll just increase, single crochet, and then we'll do an increase and a single crochet, and then we're going to increase one more time from 9 stitches up to 12 in our 4th row. Okay, we're on our 4th row for the ear, and what we're going to do is increase from 9 to 12, and to do that our pattern is to increase in our 1st stitch and then single crochet 1 into the next 2 stitches. And so we'll do that again. So we'll do an increase, a single crochet, and a single crochet, and then we've got an increase, a single crochet, and then our final single crochet. And then what we'll do for our last round is we'll just single crochet 1 into each of the stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3. Oops. Grab that one back. 3. And then, oh, lost that one again. Hold on 1 second. There we go. There's 3. Then we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then again we will slip stitch, leave a tail for sewing, and then you can just kind of trim that off, because with this one you don't need anything for stuffing on this one. We are just going to sew it, so when it goes on to the ear it's just flat. So what I'll have you do is I'll have you go through, repeat that, and make a second ear, and then we'll get back together and go ahead and get those placed onto the little pig's head. So I'm going to show you how I place on my ears for sewing them on. So I come through and kind of get an idea of where on the head I'm going to want it, which is pretty much, for me, pretty much in the center. So I'm going to come through with my yarn needle, and I'm going to not go into the very center, but I'm going to come through the next spot. So there's the very center. I'm going to come in through here, kind of get an idea of how long the ear is. So I'm going to kind of see that I'll come out right about here. And then I'll just bring my needle straight through to that stitch, pull the ear on, and because I don't really use pins or anything with mine, in order to really secure this right where I'm going to want it, I'm just going to come up through the end here and just pull that down. And what that does for me, it just locks it down into place. And then what I do is I do the same kind of sewing all the way around as I did with the hands and feet, and this just keeps everything locked into place. So I'll just do a couple stitches. So what I'll do is I'll come up right next to it, and now the ear is right there in place, and then I'll just come up through the front loop, come down the front loop, and just go into the next stitch. And I'll just do that all the way around, and that'll be how I sew on my ears. And so it's not hard to get that on there if you want to do this without using pins. which I do because it seems like every time I put a pin in, I'll squeeze a little hard and end up sticking myself. So this is just kind of a little cheat way I can do to get the arms and stuff, or not the arms, the ears on there without any injury. For the snout, as you can see, it's more of an oval shape and it kind of sticks up off of the face. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make that part next. It's not that this is hard to do, it's just the way some of the stitches are, they're kind of tough to get into. But let's go ahead and make a slip stitch, and I'll walk you through all the steps. And so we've got the slip stitch onto our hook, and we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want to have it super loose, but we don't want to have it super tight, because what we're going to do is we're going to crochet into these back bumps on the chain. Starting from the second chain of the hook, we're going to crochet into the third back bump from the end. So 1, 2, 3. That's the one we're going to single crochet into. And we'll single crochet into the second one. And this just gives it a tighter look when you're starting off with your chain, instead of having those kind of loose gaps. So we'll go ahead and we'll put our last single crochet. So here we are, and now we're going to turn our work to the opposite side, and we are going to single crochet in this first spot right here. So there's like this little bump from when the chain started. We're going to single crochet 1 right into that first stitch. And so we'll go through, and I know these can be kind of tight and a little hard to get through, but it does get easier the further out we go. Okay, tail, out of my way. Alright, so we're going to single crochet 1. We are now going to single crochet in the stitch right next to it. Alright, we got it. Now we are going to do 2 increases in a row. The first increase is going to be right here next to it, and then the second increase is going to be in this gap right here. And I know it's kind of tricky and maybe a little frustrating to get into, but let's go ahead and increase into this first one. And then in the next one, we're going to do an increase. Okay, so we now have a stitch right here, and we're going to do a single crochet into that one, and now we're going to do 2 increases in a row again, and these ones might be frustrating as well. So we've got a stitch, so here's where we went in for a single crochet. Right here next to it is where we'll do an increase, and then right here next to that one we'll do an increase. And I understand if they're a little frustrating to get into. So there's 1, 2, and then 1, 2, and now we're going to do a single crochet and then a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And what we're going to do is we're now going to increase into the next stitch, increase into the next stitch, and then we're going to single crochet and single crochet. And that is all of the front of the snout. Now what we're going to do is hunt down our stitch marker, And we are now going to make it so so it kind of stands out from the head, and now it gets much easier. So what we're going to do is we are going to single crochet in the back loops only. So not this first one, but the one farthest from us. So we're going to just single crochet one in each back loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I'm sorry, there were supposed to be 12 stitches. I didn't even say that. 10, 11, and 12. And there, oops, there we go. Oh, and then I banged the camera again. Goodness. Everybody's going to be motion sick by the time I get done with them. Okay, so we've got our 12 stitches, and we've just single crocheted those all in the back loops. And now we're going to go and do 12 single crochets again, but in both loops. And so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, I'm not even on camera. There's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Got the stitch marker out. 12. Slip stitch into the next stitch, and then we're going to leave a tail for sewing, and you can take the tail in here for some of the stuffing, but you will need some polyfill for this to be able to fill it up so it stays poofed out on his face. And so what we'll do is once we get some polyfill in, we'll just kind of place it right between the eyes, and I do have it so it's actually like partially right on the same line as the eyes. And we'll do the same sewing technique that we've done for everything else, and you can place your nose a little further down or however you want to do it. I just kind of did it between the eyes, and we'll get that attached next. So I've got the nose on. I started from the bottom and then worked my way around. And one of the things I was having trouble with was getting the polyfill to stay in the little snout. So I just wanted to show you what I did. Was I sewed most of it, but I do have a gap right here. And then I can just take something like my scissors and just kind of keep stuffing. So if you were noticing as you're going, it just kept wanting to pop out of that spot. Just another quick, easy way to get that stuffing in there without having to fight with it. Oh, jeez. All right. Okay. Work on this camera issue. Okay, and so what I did is, you know, just stuffed it there to get it to the point that I wanted. And you can kind of see how far it sticks out and kind of the oval look to it. So I'll finish sewing that up, and then we are on to our last pig body part, normal body part, which will be the tail. And then so there's the tail, and then our last item will be the wings. And so let's finish getting this sewn on, and we will work on the tail. So let's get started on the tail, and we're going to make it so it has a nice little curl to it. And to start off, we're going to make our slip stitch, and this time we're going to be chaining 20, and we're going to want to chain the same consistency we did last time because we are going to be starting off in those back bumps. And so there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then again, we're going to start from the second chain on the hook into that back bump. But instead of a single crochet, we're going to do 2 single crochets. So basically an increase in each one of those back bumps. And the reason we're going to do that is because that's what's going to give us that curl, so that you get that cute little pigtail. And so, like I said, in each of these little, I guess like the spine of the chain, or whatever you'd like to call it, just that little back bump, just crochet 2 single crochets in each one, and you'll really start to notice it starting to curl right away. And that is all you have to do to go through, and by the time you get done, it'll be all twisted up and have that really cute look. So I'm going to do one more with you, and then I'll just have you go down the rest of them on your own. Now you definitely can just, you know, instead of doing the back bumps, just do an increase in each one of the you know, sides of the chain if you find that that makes it easier for you. I just like the way this looks, and I just wanted to show you how I was doing it for the way I have it completed on my pig. Okay, so just keep going all the way down, and I'll meet you back up and we'll place the tail onto the body. So we've got the tail completed, and I am going to cut off a length for sewing and just pull off the hook. And so as you can see, it's got that curl onto it, and then where I placed mine is, so here's the center of the back of the pig, just as it gets on top of that bend in the body. That's where I placed mine, and with this one, it's not nearly as technical with sewing. You just kind of find the center where you want it, and just pull the smaller tail through a couple times just to secure that in. And trim that off. And then we'll just take our yarn needle and the longer tail. Just kind of come in right about the same spot, and then just kind of coming down through the bottom, grab up kind of the center of your whole work of chains. Oops, here we go. If I can get in there, and just pull through, and do that a couple times just to make sure that it's on there nice and secure. And that's all you have to do for sewing on the tail. And then again, just take your yarn and go through the body a few times just to weave that tail in. We've got it cut off. Just kind of squish everything around to kind of get the form back. And there you go. You've got your little tail. You can make it as long as or short as you want just by increasing or decreasing the amount of chains. But the same thing applies, just to increase in each stitch as you go down. And if that was everything you wanted to do, if you wanted to stop right now, you'd have a really cute little pig. We can show you, in case this is a good stopping spot for you, what you can do next for the details. And then if you want to add the wings, I'll show those after I put the details on, and that goes really quick. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of our darker yarn, and for the snout, we're just going to come in and up through the snout, and just kind of come up through the side, which is easier said than done. There we go. So we're going to come up And then basically just put a couple lines going up a couple stitches, just to give it that the little lines of the snout look. So I might even go down one. And then just come up and just do that a couple times on each side, just to kind of darken it so you can kind of see the snout. And you can do this as little or as much as you want, however you want it to look. And so then we'll just come up over on the other side and do that a couple times. Okay, click up. And there we go, one more time. And then we'll just kind of do the same thing, just come out one of the sides, just kind of squish the nose a little to get it in place. Oh, there went a noisy vehicle. And we'll just snip off these, just kind of squish everything, and that's all it takes to finish up the snout. Now if you wanted to add, and these aren't real easy to see, but there's little blush on the cheeks, again you could just come through the side, come up right underneath the eye, and just come back a few stitches, bring your needle through the other side, and that'll give you a little bit of blush right there, and just come through here, and then there's a little bit of blush right there on the cheeks if you want to do that. And again, you can just snip off the ends or pull them through a few times if you'd like. And that would be everything you could do just to have a standard pig all in itself. But if you're interested in the wings, I can go through that step next. So here we are on the home stretch, and we are going to be making the wings, and we're going to be making 2 of them. I'm going to walk you through the steps of making the first one, and then I'll have you make the second one on your own. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to our white yarn, and we're going to go ahead and make our slip knot, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to chain 9. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again, we're going to do that frustrating thing for just this row only, but we're going to do the single crochet into the back bumps only of the 8 back bumps, so a second chain from the hook. And let me show you, so if you're going in to your back bump and you're having a little trouble just getting into that one, just take your yarn needle and just go under it and just kind of lift it up a little. And that'll make it so much easier if you need to get into that one. If it's just laying flat and just doesn't want to accept the hook through it. So we're going to single crochet 1 in each one, so we'll have single crocheted 8. Okay. And just work your way all the way down, and like I said, it's the only time we're going to be doing this. Afterwards it'll all be just regular normal single crochets. And I know this last one can be a real pain to get into, but there we go. So we've got our 8 all the way down, and we're going to chain 1. We're going to turn our work, and what we're going to do is we're now going to single crochet 7. So we're going to stop 1 short from the end. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and get in there, 7. So we got 7, and like I said, we stopped one short from the end, and we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and go down all the stitches for 7 again. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Chain 1, turn our work, and now we're going to crochet up to 6, so stopping one short again. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, I think I missed one. There we go. 4. Did I get there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we go. I've got my 6. Chain 1, turn, and just go right back down. Okay. And then we are getting ready to the last section of the wing. So we'll chain 1, turn, and now we're only going to do 4. So we're going to crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 1, turn, and then just go right back down. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you can just cut off a tail for sewing, and then you've got your wing. And then here is the 2 wings, and then I'll show you on this one. What I did was I just sewed it down the back, kind of at an angle, so they're coming down from the head down towards the tail. And I'll show you working on this one. I'll get it started and give you an idea of how I put that on. So we're placing the wings on, and for the first pig, what I did was I left there I guess a gap in between the 2 wings, and on this one I was going to try something a little different. I was going to use the tail sort of as a guide, and then have the wings kind of come from there. So I'll take the short little tail, and what I'll do is I'll just use the tail as a guide and have them meet there. And this is just how I'm doing it. You can place your wings however you want. And I'll just hold the wing in place by just taking the short little tail and kind of weaving it in and out. And then we'll trim that off. Grab our yarn needle, thread our longer tail that we're going to use for sewing, and I just kind of wanted to see how this would look, so with them meeting right there. So what I'm doing is I'm coming in right here, and then just kind of coming up through, pulling the tail tight, and then basically just kind of coming in through one of the little gaps, kind of pulling that tight, and just kind of weaving the yarn up and through, just to kind of hold it in place. So I got it going through, and then I'll just kind of come up through one of the little gaps, come down through another one, go in through the body, and come back up. Just a pin those little wings right down. And that's pretty much all I'm doing to get the wings on. And then just doing the same thing, bringing the yarn through the body a few times just to secure everything in place. Then we'll go ahead and cut that tail and take a look. Did I get them kind of even? A little bit off. It's one short, so I should have been paying a little more attention, but overall, just we'll say it gives him personality. But there you go. This is your pig with wings, and the more I look at it, the more I think I made the tail way too long, but it makes for a good like little fidget toy. But I really think these things are kind of cute. You could always stop before the wings, have a cute little pig. Otherwise, add the little wings on. If you really got ambitious, maybe chain some yellow and give him a little halo. But I think he's absolutely adorable. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it's something that you would like to make. I would love to see anything that you create. You can send it to my Instagram, which I'll have shown. And if you have any questions or just want to give me some tips that you think might make the videos better, I'd love to hear them. Oh, and I was just wondering, I make so many of my tutorials using a 3.25 hook because this is basically my favorite hook. And what is your favorite hook? Just curious to see what other people gravitate towards. But I hope you have a great day, and I hope you enjoy the little pig. Thank you. Bye.